Hi, guys. Welcome back to another Monday morning weird story. Laura's talking to her stupid cat, which is what her words, not mine.
He's just chewing on cardboard. Like, it's not... Sometimes he's super smart, but sometimes not so much.
Maybe he got into some boot whiskey.
He might have had a little bit of boot whiskey.
Welcome back to another Monday morning snack-sized episode where Laura and I bring you a weird story from the annals of history. She said that in the last episode that we brought you, and I love it, so I'm going to keep saying it. Annals.
As long as you just say it. Don't spray it.
Gross! It's too early for this on a Monday morning, Laura.
Right? I know. Sorry.
Yes. So, so this week is my story, and I am going to talk to you guys and you, Miss Laura, about the Blue Fugates of Kentucky. Yes. So I got all of my information from All That's Interesting because I love that website, and it basically was a very succinct telling of the story. So, when Benji Stacy was born in 1975, nurses and doctors were shocked and confused. Rather than coming out a bright shade of crimson like most babies, Benji was born with dark blue skin. Doctors were so worried by this alien skin color that they called an ambulance to take Benji the 116 miles from his hometown outside of Hazard, Kentucky, to the University of Kentucky Medical Center.
That's where the Dukes are. Yes.
Okay. All right. Look, it was Luke Duke. And...
But they're from Hazard.
Hazard. After 2 days of testing, the doctors were no closer to understanding why little Benji's skin was blue. And this was in 1975.
Right.
Yeah. So then, however, Benji's grandmother spoke up, asking, "Have you ever heard of the Blue Fugates of Troublesome Creek?" At that point, Benji's father, Alva Stacy, explained to the doctors, "My grandmother Luna on my dad's side was a Blue Fugate. It was real bad in her." Benji Stacy was the latest child born in a long line of Fugates, the Blue people of Kentucky, who had lived in the Appalachian Mountains of Kentucky for the past 197 years. The first Fugate in the United States was a French orphan named Martin Fugate, who settled in Troublesome Creek in the hills of eastern Kentucky in 1820. He married a woman named Elizabeth Smith, who was said to be as pale and white as the mountain laurel that blooms every spring around the creek hollows. That sounds so poetic.
Right.
Unbeknownst to either of them, by some incalculable odds, both possessed a recessive gene that led to 4 of their 7 children of this union being born with blue skin.
Of all the things that would happen with pairings in Kentucky, I would not put the money on.
Right, a French guy, a French guy.
Right.
And yeah, it's so random.
Right.
In those days, in rural eastern Kentucky, there were no roads, and a railroad wouldn't even reach that part of the state until the early 1910s. So this was like way earlier than that. I didn't actually say the year. I'm scrolling back and I'm like, this was in, I'm sorry.
That was way before then.
That was so way before then. 1820. I just scrolled past it.
I was like, do maths.
I don't do maths. I don't. I also apparently don't do writing well. So this was in 1820, and the railroad didn't come through until 1910. As a result, many of the Fugates began to marry and have children within their own bloodline. So go ahead, everybody, say your jokes.
Get them out.
Get them out. I'll wait. It was hard to get out, so they intermarried. says Dennis Stacy, an amateur genealogist and a descendant of the Fugates. I'm kin to myself. That sentence is just so weird. But
fair enough. My tree goes in a circle.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. So Benji is descended from a line of this family that began when Martin's son, Zachariah, married his mother's sister, or basically his aunt.
His aunt, okay.
Yeah. This kind of genetic isolation allowed for the continued reproduction and expression of the Fugate family's blue skin gene. Over the next 100 years or so, the Fugates continued to live in relative isolation and were accepted by the people of Troublesome Creek. They looked like anybody else, except they had the blue color, said one resident. However, by the early 1960s, some members of the Blue Fugates had begun to resent their cobalt-tinted skin. And Laura, while I'm telling this story, I want you to Google search the Blue Fugates, because it is serious. It's as blue as my shirt.
No, they're super duper blue, and I'm pretty sure that...
Super blue. Yes. So not only did their skin mark them as different, but by that time, people had already begun to associate their skin color with the family's history of inbreeding. It was then that two Fugates approached Madison Cawine, a hematologist at the University of Kentucky's medical clinic at the time, in search of a cure. Did you find him?
Yes. They're super... They are very blue.
Blue.
And not like Avatar blue, but like blue.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they almost look like, I don't know, you would think they
Can you put your phone up to the camera to see if it'll come through?
Like...
Oh, no. Yeah, she looks normal, just pale.
Yeah.
Like the old-timey like pictures.
Oh, the old these ones?
Yes. Yeah, no, it looks black and white.
Yeah,
we'll put it up on our social media when we promote this, guys. But yeah, certainly check it out. So
yeah.
These two Fugates approach this hematologist at the University of Kentucky looking for a cure. And she says they were really embarrassed about being blue. Patrick was all hunched down in the hall. Rachel was leaning against the wall. They wouldn't come into the waiting room. You could tell how much it bothered them to be blue. Using research collected...
Being in public would be really difficult.
I mean, yeah. I mean...
Fucking crazy.
Right?
Like, if I saw a blue person, I would freak out.
Right? Or think I was at Comic-Con.
Right? What the fuck is happening?
Right? So, using research collected from the studies of isolated Alaskan Eskimo populations, Cawine was able to conclude that the Fugates carried a rare hereditary blood disorder that causes excessive levels of methemoglobin in their blood. Now, methemoglobin is a non-functional blue version of the healthy red hemoglobin protein that carries oxygen. Hemoglobin is what makes your blood red. In most Caucasians, the red hemoglobin of the blood in their bodies shows through their skin, giving it a pink tint. For the Fugate family, however, the excessive amount of blue methemoglobin in their blood turned their skin color blue. So it really just kind of overrode the hemoglobin in their blood. This blood disorder is the result of a recessive gene and so requires that both parents of a child have the recessive gene for the disorder to appear in their offspring. I'm not going to go into that whole thing that we all learned in school about, what is that?
Recessive and dominant genes when you do the little thing.
Yes, it's
when a lot of kids found out some really bad things.
We're not trying to scare people, Carrie, in this series. Quit talking about that. Anywho.
Like, that's not possible.
Right?
Daddy.
Yeah. Without the Fugates' intense isolation and inbreeding, this disorder would be incredibly rare in their bloodline. So Cawine devised a cure for this disorder, more blue. Counterintuitively, the best chemical for activating the body's process of turning methemoglobin to hemoglobin is methylene blue dye. The Fugates he treated ingested this dye, and within a few minutes, the blue coloration of their skin disappeared and their skin turned pink.
Seriously?
As long as they kept ingesting pills of the substance regularly, these blue people of Kentucky could live their lives normally. Within a couple of months of his birth, Benji's skin color began to change to the average color for a baby. By the age of 7, he had lost nearly all of this blue coloring, indicating that he likely only received a copy of the gene from one parent. Benji had likely had this gene passed down from his father's grandmother, Luna. Luna was bluish all over. Her lips were as dark as a bruise. She was as blue a woman as I ever saw, said one of the local nurses. Today, though, Benji and most of the Fugate family descendants have lost their blue coloring. The tint still comes out in their skin when they are cold or flush with anger. In those moments, the legacy of the Blue Fugates of Kentucky lives on, a legacy of hardship, isolation, and perseverance. And that is the story of the Blue Fugates of Kentucky.
That's awesome. Can you imagine you're about to get in a fucking bar fight with some dude?
Where you turn blue.
Like rural Kentucky, and he fucking turns blue all
right.
over fucking.
Could you imagine?
Like
Yeah, we learned about this family in my anatomy class when we were studying blood. And she was telling us, I was like, and she was like, have you guys ever heard of the Blue Fugates of Kentucky? And she puts the family picture on, like, you know, the screen. And we were like, what? No. And, yeah, so I have always found it so fascinating. And I'm like, one of these days I'm going to find a place where I can tell this story. And this is that place.
Yay, we made it just for you.
Yay, thank you. Yeah.
There is another, what is that people, it's a supplement people take, is it silver nitrate something? And then certain people, it will turn them blue, like Smurf blue.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think I saw it on Oprah.
Probably. I mean, if you saw it, it was probably on Oprah because she talked about everything.
Yeah. So I have a picture of one of those guys. Let's see.
Is that Kenny Rogers?
It kind of it's Papa Smurf. It kind of looks like, yeah.
Where's his red
I
head?
don't know. Maybe this is a blue fugate. Hold on. I thought it was the guy that turned from the silver. It must be a blue fugate.
Fugate.
But yeah, you can tell.
Fugate.
Yeah,
Fugate,
it looks like
yeah.
Papa Smurf fugate. But there are also, some people, because they took something, I want to say it's silver nitrate, but
that's interesting. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So, and it's super rare. It's like this, you know, like one in, you know, a million.
Super rare. Yeah. But because they were so isolated in this area, they couldn't get out to like meet people. They couldn't like, you know,
right.
They
so
just
were marrying their,
they just
that happened a lot.
interbred and
like,
so they just kind of, is it? Okay. Mm-hmm. Nitrate or nitrite? Trait?
Let me nitrate.
Trait. Okay.
That's what Google says. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, Google knows everything. Yeah.
She thinks she knows everything.
I mean, my God, I hate those bitches. So anyway, yeah, guys, that is your weird story of the week, the Blue Fugates of Kentucky. So, yeah, that was that on that. And we will be back, you know, when we decide we want to come back. These aren't going to be every Monday. But as
if you have any suggestions,
yes, if there's a weird story that, yeah.
There's lots of great stuff out there. So
lots of great stuff. Yeah.
Any tales you want us to tell?
Yeah, that are super weird, that you think might get people's weeks started off right and weird, send them to us at hoahpodcast@gmail.com. To that we say, as always, stay safe out there because you never know who
or what
is listening. Bye, guys. Have a great week.
Bye. Don't take silver nitrate. Bye.
And if you have blue skin, take methylene blue dye, apparently.
Right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.